Hey guys, so today I'm going to be fixing our Dometic 310, I believe it is, toilet. The valve's leaking. So I wanted to do something kind of cool for me and for you guys as well. So I bought the original equipment Dometic valve that I needed, and I also bought a cheap one off of Amazon. I believe this one was around $50, and I think this one was around 10 or 12. So I kind of wanted to compare both valves, see if there was a quality difference, or if maybe they're the exact same valve, but they're produced, or maybe they're the exact same valve produced in the same facility, just one is branded Dometic and the other is branded Halotronics. But yeah, spoiler alert, they're not, so let's get into it. Video got kind of long, so I'm going to, because I like to ramble, so I'm going to put some time code stamps down in the description, so if you guys want to, you can skip ahead to the comparison, the repair, replacement, that kind of thing. Alright, so upon first inspection, they obviously look similar because it's going in the same spot on the toilet, right where the valve goes. Looks like both packages come with the valve. They come with these little screws and a hose clamp, and this one has a set of instructions. And I believe the Dometic one, it might not. It might just be a cardboard sheet of paper with some info on it. But yeah, alright, let's go ahead and let's open up the cheap one first. Sorry if there's some clicking and noise in the background. My daughter is playing with some magnet tiles. Finding the parts you need? Alright, so this is the cheaper part. You can get a good look at it. Looks like there's a screen in there. Couple Phillips head screws, which I'm not a huge fan of. Pretty standard hose clamp. And then what looks like some instructions, or at least a diagram. Oh yeah, it does come with some instructions as well. Alright, so that was the Halotronics, the cheap version. Oh, and just so you guys know, it is the same exact part. So this replaces Dometic part number 38531164, and then this is Dometic 38531161. Yeah, alright, so let's go ahead and let's open up the Dometic one. So as you can tell from the get-go, the coloration is slightly different. I don't know if it's as drastic on camera as it is in person, but the Dometic one is definitely more yellow. Also, the threaded portion on the Dometic one is perfectly opaque white piece of plastic, I assume PVC. And then the one on the cheaper one is just the same as the rest of the body of the valve. Looks like there's some little bits from manufacturing that didn't quite get cleaned up. I don't think that's going to affect the functionality of the part at all, but definitely something that they should work on just to make the part look cleaner, in my opinion. But yeah, the Dometic one feels heavier. I should get out a scale and actually weigh them. Usually if something's heavier, that isn't always representative of the quality, but a lot of times it is. I mean, as far as everything looks, they look pretty much the same. There's definitely different materials used, but overall, the quality of this one looks to be adequate. It doesn't look like junk, but yeah, you can definitely tell that the materials are cheaper. One thing I noticed, and it's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but there's actually a little bit of a gap around this nub that it's like a plunger that gets depressed to allow the water out. It looks like there's a little bit of a gap on this one, and this one looks like the tolerances are much tighter. That's what it looks like. Also, this one has what feels like a light layer of grease on it. That could be either from manufacturing, or that could be something that they do to help seal, like make the part more watertight. Yeah, so parts look similar. Again, you've got a hose clamp. Just comparing the two hose clamps, the Dometic one is a little shinier. Sorry, my camera went off. The Dometic one's a little shinier. They're pretty much the same thickness. The Dometic one, oops, sorry, focus. The Dometic one might be a touch thicker, but I mean, a hose clamp's a hose clamp. Oh, there's a difference there. The Dometic one has a slotted head for like a flathead screwdriver, and the cheaper one has a Phillips head. Not that you should use those at all when tightening a hose clamp, other than to just run it down really quick, but the final tightening should definitely be done with a wrench, or preferably a socket. And then last but not least, and this is the part I definitely would prefer on the Dometic one, these screws are both slotted for a screwdriver, and also have the hex head for like a socket or a wrench. Alright guys, I said I would bring out the scale, so we're going to weigh the cheap version. We're at 42.3 grams, and then the Dometic version, we're at 43.9. So like I said, it is a little bit heavier. That's not always indicative of quality, but in a lot of cases it is. Hey guys, before I get started on this, just so you guys know, I'm going to put some affiliate links to Amazon down below that has both of the valves, the Dometic as well as the Aftermarket, the cheaper one. And I'm also going to put a Pex Tool Kit down there, which is something I think is essential for every RV'er to have, because you never know when you're going to have plumbing problems, and being able to fix it yourself is an indispensable skill. A quick note, for the install I decided to use the Dometic valve rather than the Aftermarket one. The quality just felt better to me. I'm going to hang on to the Aftermarket one and keep it for emergencies, like let's say I had this valve burst and I'm in the middle of nowhere and need to replace the valve. I'll have one on hand, and it'll just be the cheap one. Alright, so let's check out the culprit. Alright, everyone loves looking at a toilet, so yeah. Alright, so here's the deal. This valve is located right here, and I'm going to try and get a better camera angle for you guys as well. the portion that's leaking is going to be tough to show, but when you push down on the pedal, and of course it's not going to do it right now, but it leaks from right here. It just kind of pours down here and pulls up. Oh, there, I got some water on my finger, as you can see there, right? So it kind of puddles up right down here. So I'm going to replace that valve, and we're going to go from there. Alright, so step number one, and arguably the most important step, turn off your water. Alright, after turning off your water, you want to flush the toilet to get out any residual water that might be in there. Alright, no more water in the lines. Alright, so I'm going to be doing exactly what I recommend not doing, and using a flathead screwdriver to remove these two screws in the back. The reason is I don't have all my tools with me, and all I have is a 3/8 socket set, and my sockets are too big to get onto the end of that screw. So I'm gonna have to do it with the screwdriver. Another thing that you'll want to know before starting this is there is a PEX clamp right here, and you're gonna have to remove that. There's a bunch of different ways you can remove it. You can cut it off, you can use pliers, you can use a screwdriver. They make specific tools that you can use to remove it, but yeah, so you gotta remove that. And I'm going to be replacing it with the traditional hose clamp that came in the kit. Normally I would replace it with another PEX clamp, but I don't have any 5/8 clamps, and I believe that's what the diameter of this tube is. I've only got 1/2 and 3/4. So I'm just going to go with what I've got, which is the hose clamp. And I'm not too worried about it because this hose is actually not under pressure all the time. It only gets water when you push down on the valve, so it's not like it needs to be clamped down. It's probably ideal, but I think the hose clamp will work just fine, and that's what they include in the kit, so that's what we're gonna go with. Alright, let's get to it. Man, this is an awkward angle. I can't see what I'm even working on. Alright, rather than watching me fiddle around with this, I'm just gonna cut and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so I couldn't really tell before, but I guess this one only came with one screw installed, which is I guess okay, because it's worked fine since we've had it, and we've lived in this thing for about 3 years now. So yeah, I mean, it worked with only one screw, but if I can, I'm gonna put two in. I don't know if you can tell, this space here is about 6 or 7 inches, so I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room in here, so I definitely can't see what I'm doing most of the time. I just kind of have to feel for it. But now I'm going to take this clamp off, and after I get the clamp off, I'm going to unscrew the water inlet, and then I'll show you where we go from there. Actually, after looking at it a little bit better, I'm gonna do things differently. I'm going to unscrew the water inlet, pop these two tabs out, and pull it out so I can have easier access to that PEX clamp. So we're gonna unscrew this guy, and there most likely will be residual water, so be prepared with a rag. Oh, that wasn't too bad, just a little drip here. Alright, and I'm gonna get a second camera out so you guys can see what we're working with. Alright, on the top and bottom there are small tabs right there that you have to press in and pull out. So I'm gonna press it in with a screwdriver and kind of pop it into position where I can get the second one. Okay, maybe I'll do the bottom one first. I'm telling you, I do not have a lot of room here, and working with one hand in a camera isn't exactly easy, but I think you guys get the idea. There's you gotta pop this tab in, pop the tab underneath in, and then pull the valve out. Alright, so got the valve popped out and just pulls out like that. I'm gonna kind of recreate it here for you guys real quick. So after I push the tabs in, just pull the valve out, and now I can twist it around and gain access to that PEX clamp. So what I just did is I popped that PEX clamp off, and now just got to pull the valve off the tube. Alright, so something to note, I was kind of concerned at first not using the PEX clamp, but I'm really not now, because this is not PEX. It is just a rubber hose. It's super flexible, so I'm definitely not concerned now using the hose clamp at all. Alright, so before I put the new valve on, we're going to take a look at the old one and see what the issue was. And I don't really see any glaring issues. I don't see any cracks or anywhere that it might have failed, like frozen up or anything like that. But there's a bunch of gunk built up. I don't know if the camera's gonna focus. Whatever. There's a bunch of gunk. You can kind of see it there. Built up at the end of it, and I assume there's just some gunk that got in the water and eventually clogged it. And I mean, these things, it's a wear part, so they fail over time after use. So yeah, so let's get the new one in. Alright, so putting the new part in is just basically the same thing in reverse. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop it in first, and then I will put the hose clamp on. So pop it in, make sure. Alright, looks like it's working. So now let's go ahead and get this screw in. I'm just going to reuse the same one that came with it rather than grabbing the new screws, because there's no difference at all. Alrighty, now that that's in, I'm going to go ahead and put the hose clamp on and reattach the hose. One thing to make sure of when you're putting on the hose clamp is that you don't over tighten it, because these are plastic pieces and they will crack. Alright, let's test this thing. So looking in here, it doesn't look like we have any leaks right off the bat. So that's a good start. Alright, it looks fully dry. All right. Doesn't look to me like there's any water coming out. Job done. I just finished up the install. It was overall pretty easy. I made it a little harder on myself by not taking the toilet out and twisting it around, but it is what it is. If you need to do that, do it. If you like to make yourself suffer like me, then do what I did. But overall, I mean, that probably took 15 minutes maybe. All I needed was a flathead screwdriver and I guess a pair of pliers to take off the PEX clamp. You could probably take off the PEX clamp with a flathead screwdriver too. It's just you're going to cause a lot more damage. Yeah, so super easy install. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know down in the comments below. That really gives me ideas on what I need to do. I mean, obviously this one I had to fix our problem, but I love doing these little how-to videos. I just need more of them to do. So give me some ideas. Talk to you guys later. Bye.